talking today, we've been talking about infinitives and gerunds, right? So can someone give me an example of an infinitive? Infinitivo. No? Okay, so an infinitive in English is the like pure form of the verb. So like to eat. Okay, so in Spanish, all right, in Spanish, the infinitive are the verbs that end in the er, like comer, nadar. Yes. Okay, so with the er, ir, ar at the end, that's the infinitive in Spanish. So in English, it's two words. To eat, to drink. In estar sin jugado. Oh, yeah. No, it's not conjugado. Yes, it's not conjugated. Right. Yes, not conjugated. So, okay. So, here's an example. So, let's say, me gusta comer tacos. Okay. So, what would the translation be to English? I like comer, to eat tacos. Okay. Next week, we're going to talk about modal verbs, which is like can, should, some of those. And so that's one difference. So yo puedo comer, right? I can, in English, you would say, I can eat. So even though in Spanish you're saying comer, in English you would not use the to for that one. But usually, if you're translating in your head and you're saying comer, in English the translation is going to be to eat. That's the infinitive. Okay? And it doesn't change like depending on the person or whatever. It's just the infinitive. Okay? All right. So a gerund is the verb. So the verb plus ing. Okay? Eating. So we see this in the present continuous, right? Where we say I am eating. This is not a gerund in this case. This is not a gerund. This is part of the present continuous verb. Okay? So this is estoy comiendo. Right? I am eating right now. That's present continuous. It's something that's happening right now. So a gerund, it functions as a noun, una cosa. It's like the activity of eating. So la actividad de comiendo, right? So it functions as a noun in a sentence. So, and I have tons of examples and we'll practice today. Okay? So this, yes. So this is present continuous. Yeah. Yes. Do you want Okay, so we're going to talk about when to use. This is confusing. When to use them in English. Okay, and then we'll practice, and that's what we're doing this week is just practicing like when to use gerunds, when to use infinitive, because it will really help you sound like a native speaker. And it's really not that difficult. You just have to practice a lot. Okay. All right. So infinitive. Okay, so let's do infinitive first. All right. So you are going to use an infinitive after a verb and object phrase. So look at this example. I asked her, right? So let's say I'm talking about Debbie, right? Like I asked her to give me more money. Okay? So look, I asked her to give. To give. So we're going to use the infinitive. Here's an object. All right, we talked about that earlier in the semester. If you want, I have some practice if you need practice with that. So with this one, I asked her to give me more money. With the infinitive, you're going to use the infinitive after the object pronoun. Okay? Yes? Alyssa's like, no. We're going to do so many examples today. Okay, let me think of another one. An hour's not going to be enough. If we don't get through it today, then that's okay. We will. Okay. All right. So you also use infinitives after adjectives. Okay. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. So look, I'm excited to be. There's an infinitive. I'm sad to leave. Yeah, I'm excited to see you. Yeah, any verb. So I'm excited to eat tacos. I'm excited to take a nap. Yeah. So after an adjective, we use infinitive. Okay? How would you say this? How would you say this in Spanish? So estoy emocionada is a verte or es a estar aquí. Estar to be here, right? Yeah, to be here. Estar. Okay? And so that one's easy. We can do that one. All right? You just have to identify it. Okay, and then after certain verbs. Okay, so on the second page of your notes, okay, if you see here's a list of verbs. Okay, so let's see. I cannot afford, let's see. I can't afford to own a big house, right? Like afford is to have enough money, right? So I can't afford to have infinitive a big house. I don't agree. Let's see. What do you not agree to? I don't agree to get the vaccination for COVID, right? I don't agree, or I do agree to get. So you would say if you want to make it negative, you say I can't afford. I can't afford. So with these verbs, after these verbs, you put an infinitive. So, I promise to come on time. Okay. I hope to speak English. So after these verbs, you can use infinitives. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone? After these verbs, you can use an infinitive. So I choose to come to school. I decided yes. Okay. So let's write that out. Okay. So I choose to come. Good question. So this is a verb, right? To come. This is the infinitive. Okay, so then here, to school. Now that's a preposition. Okay, so in this case, it's correct because this to is part of the verb to come. And then this verb is a preposition. So it's okay to use it that way. To school. And remember with school, church, and work, we don't say the. So I choose to come or to go to the grocery store. The grocery store. But school, work, and church, we don't say the. You can just say to school. I mean, if you say it, obviously we'll understand you, but you don't need to say the. Yes. It's fine. Like I'll understand what you're saying, but English speakers will just say to school. Like, are you going to school? Are you going to work? Are you going to church? Or are you going to the grocery store? Are you going to the library? Work. You don't need to use the. Right. Yes. 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 Okay, so those are infinitives. We're gonna get tons of practice. Okay, you're gonna figure it out. All right. Let's go back to the first page. Okay. All right, gerunds. Okay, so remember the gerund is a verb plus ing. Okay, so you're gonna use gerunds after prepositions. Okay, so in, on, of, to, with. All right, so here's an example. I was so stressed that I broke down crying. Okay, so down, right? That's that. Broke down is like you started to cry, right? Okay, so I broke down crying. So we're gonna use an ing here. Let me think of another one. Um, mm, okay, I am tired of. Okay, let's do this. I am tired of staying at home. Staying at home. So if you think of this, do you understand this phrase? I am tired of, right? Like you don't like it anymore. Okay. So exactly. Yes. So you could so you could say I am tired of tacos, right? I eat tacos every day. I'm tired of them. I don't want to eat tacos anymore. So I'm tired of a thing, right? Una cosa. So in this case, la cosa es la actividad de quedar en casa, right? So that's why this is a noun. It looks like a verb, but it's not a verb. It's a noun. Es un nombre, okay? Es una cosa. It's a noun. So I'm tired of staying at home. So in this case, staying at home is the gerund. Okay? All right. Okay, so subjects and complements. Okay, so Elizabeth, what is your least favorite chore? Like the thing that you don't like to do at home? Okay, so washing the dishes is my least favorite chore. Washing the dishes. So in this case, the activity, so you could say basketball is my least favorite sport, or washing the dishes, the activity is my least favorite chore. Okay. Melissa, what's your favorite activity? Okay. So my favorite activity is, we're going to make it into a gerund, walking. Okay. So good. Yeah. So if it can be the subject of the sentence, like the thing that the sentence is talking about, so washing the dishes, right? Or it can be the object, the complement, the object of the sentence. But in both cases, they're gerunds. Okay? Sometimes. So remember, it can be ing, can be present continuous. So this is estoy comiendo, right? So in that case, you're eating. Like that's the verb that you're doing. But if I say eating tacos is my favorite activity, then eating tacos, that doesn't mean I'm eating them right now, right? I can just say eating tacos is my favorite activity. And that's, I'm not doing it right now. Yes. Yeah. So it's a gerund. So in that case, it's a gerund. And one of the activities this week is a reading that you have where I'm going to make you underline gerunds or infinitives, and you have to pay attention because there are present continuous in there where it says like they are buying. And in that case, buying is not a gerund. Just because it has ing doesn't mean it's a gerund because they are buying is part of the present continuous. Okay? All right. Again, we'll get there. Okay. And so then there's a list. So just like we had the infinitive list, let's go look at our list. Okay. Okay, so verbs, oops, let me see. Verbs followed by a gerund. Let's see. Okay, so Elizabeth can't stand washing dishes. Okay, Melissa enjoys walking. Did you finish doing your homework? Okay. I suggest practicing your English. All right, I suggest practicing. So after these verbs, you're going to use a gerund, the ing. Okay? All right. And then down here, there's a list of verbs. So these are the list of, these are like phrasal verbs, verbs that have two words. So I apologize for being late. Okay? I apologize for being late. So this is a preposition. So after prepositions, we put a gerund. Oh, okay, let me zoom in. Okay, I apologize for being late. So yes, so these are verbs with prepositions. So prepositions are those little tiny words that we hate because you never know if it's in or on or at or to. Okay, so these are verbs that like, this is a verbal phrase. So it's like, these are verbs and prepositions that go together often. Okay, so let's see. Okay, what do you know what this is, Kejar? Complain. What do you complain about? Their behavior? Let's see. I complain about um parenting. Parenting, right? Let's see. Okay, I complain about parenting, ing, right? Parenting. So it's going to be the ing after. Okay? I dream about flying. I dream about being late. I don't know why. That's my like stress dream. Yeah. Do you guys have dreams where you're stressed? What are your stress dreams? I need to start from the beginning. Everyone's like, "Oh, I don't speak English," and you're fine. Okay? No, you are fine. All right. So let's. Okay. So Cecile's printing these, but we'll go ahead and do some of them together. All right. So, okay, so look at this. It's really important that you pay the bill today. Okay? So, we're going to use the verb remember. So, you must remember. Okay? So, we're going to transform this sentence. So, it's really important that you pay the bill today. So, if we're going to say this instead, you must, this is like debes. Okay? You must remember. So, after remember, let's see. After remember, oh, remember is one of those crazy verbs where you can use both. Okay. So if you will look on, okay, if you look on, this is like the third page of the notes. There's a section that says words with different meaning. Okay. So forget and remember is the first one. This is on the third page of notes. Do you see it? Yes, in that box, the second box, Elizabeth. Okay. Yes, the big one. So, okay, so like forget and remember. Okay. So you're gonna use the infinitive after remember, in regard to the future. So remember to switch off the lights. Okay, so recuerda apagar las luces. Okay. And then you're gonna use the gerund if you're like remembering something from the past. So as a child, I remember liking video games. As a child, I remember liking ing video games, right? So that's in the past. It's like, oh, I remember. Okay, Elizabeth could say, I remember being in this classroom last year, right? Where she's like, oh, I remember being in Miss Beth's class. Okay, so you use the infinitive, so it has a different meaning if you use an infinitive after remember. So this morning, I remembered to bring my mask. I remembered to bring my mask, right? So it's like, well, so it can be, let me think. Okay. So so like, look at this. So this one, okay, so look at this. You must remember to pay. So this one is talking about like, it's not saying like, remember paying the bill? Like, oh, like in the past. No, that's not what it's saying. It's saying like, use your mind to do your checklist and like, remember to pay the bill. So that, in this case, you need to use the infinitive, not a gerund. Okay? Now, if my husband and I are talking and he says, did you pay the electric bill last week? And I'll say, no, you did, right? And I can say, remember paying the bill? Remember? And so then I'm asking him, like, think back in the past and remember paying the bill. Okay? So this is more like it's a checklist. And if you use the gerund after it, then you're thinking in your memory, like in the past. Okay? Okay. Yes. Right. Yes. Yes. So unless you're talking, usually yes, right? Because usually we're like talk to our children. Remember to get your shoes. Remember to get your mask. Remember to do your homework. Okay. So we could say, okay, so you could say to your kids, right, in the mornings, we're like, remember to get your shoes. Remember to, where's your jacket? Like, remember to get your jacket. Okay, so we can also say, Melissa, like we could say to your kids, remember vacationing last year for Christmas? Okay, so remember vacationing the gerund because then you're thinking like, oh, like remember the good times or the bad times or whatever, but it's past. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, I'm understand. Remember it's past, it's present, future, and later the verb. So all the verbs. Yes. So in this case, they and forget. So forget's the same way, but we'll see some examples of that. Okay. So in this case, yeah, like you must. So debes remember. You must remember. So that's thinking about future. Yeah, like a checklist. Like you need to remember to pay the bills. So you're going to use the infinitive there. If you're thinking in the past, no, because it's not even that. Because you can say. Okay, I think. I tell my husband, okay, you remember paying the bill the last week? una lista para de hacer. Okay, so you have a to-do list. Like, remember to pay the bills. So, okay, so like, I remembered to pay the bill. You're saying, yes, I did it. I checked it off my list. Okay? So this, the ed, makes it past. Yes. Okay, and so we can also say, so in this case, so look, this is an infinitive. So this is, I checked it off my list. I remembered to pay the bill. Yes. Okay, I did it last week. So I remember paying the bill. So then in this case, when you use the gerund, you're thinking, like, I'm not just saying I checked it off my list. I'm like thinking, okay, I can picture myself in my head sitting at the computer and paying the bill. Okay? It's almost like this is a memory, una memoria. Okay, so like puedes, yes, you can like think it, like poner la foto en tu mente, right? That's what this is. This is just like, sí, lo hiciste, right? I did it. Okay? So when you say it like this, you're not saying like, I'm remembering paying the bill. No, you're just like, yes, I paid it. Okay? And this one is more like una memoria, like where you're like, I don't know, maybe your husband's like, did you pay the bill? And you say, yes, I remember paying the bill when Caleb was playing video games and Aiden was crying, and like it's like a memory. Okay, and we'll do more examples of that. All right, that's a hard one. Sorry, it started with a hard one. Okay, next one. I think it would be a good idea if you joined the beginners class. Okay? No, none of you. Okay. Okay. So they want us to use the verb suggest. Okay. So come look at your list here and see if you can find the verb suggest. Is it going to be a gerund or an infinitive? Okay. So they want us, we're going to transform the sentence and use a gerund or an infinitive. And they want us to use the verb suggest, which is sugerir. Okay. So on your list, on this list here, on the second page of your notes, huh? It's a gerund, yes. Okay, so on this list here, we have infinitives and a list of verbs, and then gerunds and a list of verbs, okay? And if you'll look, suggest is on this list of verbs under gerunds. Okay, so we're going to use an ing after suggest. So I think it would be a good idea if you joined the beginners class. So I suggest, what would we say? What's the second verb there? Or what's the gerund that we're going to use? So I suggest, look at this, joining. I suggest, okay, I think it would be a good idea if you joined the beginners class. I suggest joining, ing. Okay, I suggest joining the beginners class. So we just take the meaning of this and we transform the sentence. So it's the same meaning, right? I think you should join the beginners class. I suggest joining the beginners class. It's the same meaning, we're just making the sentence, we're just using different verbs. Yes, yes, that's why we're doing this one together. Okay, so let's do let me find a good one for us to do. Yes, you don't have it. Okay, let's do this one. Okay. I detest number 10. I detest living here. It's quite a rough area. Okay? Detest means you hate it. Okay? You hate it. You don't like it. Okay. So I detest living here. It's quite a rough area. Okay, so they want us to use the verb want. So we need to make it negative, right? Because you're not going to say I want. No. So I don't want. Okay, so then here, look at your list. Are we going to use a gerund or an infinitive? Yeah. So what would we say? I don't want to live. There you go. Yeah, I don't want to live here. Okay, I don't want to live here. It's quite a rough area. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. Um, okay. Yes. We understand that one. So you like they give you the verb and then you go look at the list and you see if you need an infinitive or a gerund. Okay. Let's do number 13. I couldn't pay. I couldn't. No podría. I couldn't pay for such an expensive house. Okay. So 13, I couldn't afford. So let's look at our list. Okay. So afford is like tener el dinero para pagar. Like afford. So I couldn't afford to pay. Yes. So on our list here, it's under infinitive. So I couldn't afford to pay, and actually it's for. I don't know why you would know that. Such an expensive house. Okay, good. All right, let's do 15. I will never forget living in England. It was amazing. Ooh. Okay. I will remember. Okay, so here's remember again, right? Remember to turn off the lights. Remember to fill out the screener. Okay, so in this case, is she doing this? I remember. Yes, right? It's like a memory. Like she loved living in England. Oops. Okay. She loved living in England, and so she's remembering, right? So I will remember living. So in this case, it's like a I remember living in England. It's a memory. Yeah. Okay. So up here, the first one we did, that's not right. Like I remember paying the bill. Like no, you don't. Yes. Right. So like the checklist is the infinitive. I remember to pay the bill. And the gerund is the like yeah, like the memory one. Okay? So I will remember living in England. It can be. Yeah, it can be. Yes. That can be a good way to think about it. Yeah. So like you use the gerund if you're having an emotion about it. Um okay, okay. Let me go see okay. Okay. So let's do this one. Number 17. I regret. Let's see, is it on here? Oh, lamento. Uh-huh. Yeah, I regret. Okay, so if it's in the past, we're going to use a gerund. So this is on that same forget and remember. It's that same box. If you'll look at regret, So if you use the infinitive, it's like in the future. And if you use the past, then it's a gerund. This is on that same box, Melissa, with the forget and remember on your notes. Regret is lamento. Okay. Lamentar, I guess. So in this case, this person in number 17 is talking about the past. Okay. So we're going to say, I regret, we're going to use a gerund because it's talking about the past. I regret saying that. Okay. I regret saying that. Okay. Cecile, let me go check on Cecile.